Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Global Passport Investor. My name is Eric Major. I'm the CEO and chairman of Latitude World, where our clients expect a world and we deliver it. Well, today we're recording this from one of my favorite places in the world, and really is the investment migration epicenter, really, I would say, of residency and citizenship, and that's the island of Malta, where I'm here to meet with my colleagues, and we're having a little bit of a team get-together this evening as we do this time of year. And I felt what a great opportunity to introduce one of our most cherished and experienced colleagues, and no less a strategic partner to our firm, who's been with us for a number of years, and I've known myself for over 15 years, and he's here in front of me now. His name is Marc Menard, and I'd like to introduce him to you and have him share with you all the experiences that he has with his many clients. So Marc, welcome to the Global Passport Investor.
Thank you so much, Eric, and a pleasure to be with you here today.
Yeah, it's great that we're doing this. We've talked about it for some time. We've done some things together in the past, including in our native language of French language. But I thought for our European and American listeners, this would be a great opportunity to provide some of the insight of what you've seen, certainly in the last 12 to 18 months, in terms of what clients you've been servicing, what are their motivations, and what jurisdictions have been piquing their interests. But before we get into that, you have a really interesting journey, certainly from the moment I got to know you about 15 years ago. I think it was in Hong Kong where we first shook hands. Could you share with our listeners a little bit of that journey and how you got into this investment migration space?
Yeah, thank you, Eric. So yes, indeed, you're talking about global citizens. I can basically say that I'm actually a global citizen myself as French.
Yes.
But so,
yes.
And I started, of course, I grew up in France, but then, really, really fast, I realized that, living in France and working in France was not something which could be fit for me.
Okay.
And that's why, I had this opportunity to go first to Australia to do an MBA there.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
And then after that, I moved to Hong Kong.
You didn't pick up the accent over there.
I can hit the sack, as we said,
hit
the sack, when you're sleeping, you want to go to sleep.
Yeah.
But apart from that, not really.
Okay.
So, but then, I moved to Hong Kong when I really started my career. It was in 2008 when Lehman Brothers collapsed, basically.
Wow,
so it was quite hectic start, but I always wanted to have these international exposures, and because I wanted to see the world, and I wanted to have also some flexibility for the future. So I started my career in Hong Kong, and then spending 7 years there, and in the insurance industry, but also it was also linked kind of the Residency and Citizenship program that we are going to discuss today as well.
Because it's a form of insurance, as I'm sure you will explain in greater detail.
Correct.
Yeah.
Having a second option, so plan B, it's always a secure plan for you and your family, and also to have the freedom of traveling whatever you want, in your life. So staying 7 years in Hong Kong, and then traveling.
Did you get resident status there?
Yes. So basically, after 7 years, yes,
Okay.
correct. After 7 years, I were able to get the permanent residency card.
Perfect.
And this was one of my targets to get it, because at that time you had a program to get the permanent residency card. To Hong Kong after a couple of years, 7 years.
So you have a legal right to go back anytime.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Excellent.
and that the flexibility that I always wanted to have, because again, we don't know what the futures will look like.
Correct.
And that's why I also advise clients when they are talking to me. I said, listen, having a second residency or citizenship, it's not a luxury anymore. Now it's a necessity, and it's an insurance for the future because of the globalizations and because of all the turmoil that's happening into the world. So staying there, for 7 years in Hong Kong, and then I had this opportunity to move to Lebanon, in Beirut.
Wow.
Where it was end of 2015, when the war in Syria was still happening. So it was quite a move.
You're like raising the temperature there. Oh my God.
Yes, indeed.
That's
Yes, it was quite high.
I can imagine.
I can guarantee you that.
Goodness.
And I'm actually writing a book about this, so to help entrepreneurs and business people to understand, what's all about.
Good for
So,
you. And then I reconnected with you after Hong Kong for a bit in Dubai. So did you go from Beirut to UAE afterwards? Was that the segue, or did you go somewhere else in between?
Yeah, so basically I did like Hong Kong for 7 years. I spent a bit of time in the Philippines, like for 1 year, in between like Hong Kong and Philippines. Then I moved to Lebanon,
Yeah.
where I wanted to serve more Lebanese clients and francophone people, like who are seeking for second citizenship and residency. And then after that, when the situation was really, really bad, especially in Lebanon on the end of 2021, when we couldn't find gasoline for our cars, there is cut of electricity. It was really, really difficult for me even to live there and to serve my clients there. I moved to Dubai in the early 2022, so end of 2021, and then I stayed almost 3 years there.
Good for you.
And also servicing clients for residency and citizenship in Africa, and as well in the Middle East still. And then after 1 year and a half, I've been now 1 year and a half in Malta after spending like 3 years in Dubai to serve a lot of American clients, but also European clients who are seeking now for Plan Bs.
Well, I want to understand that a little bit because, as some of our listeners would know, Europeans have this really privileged right called the right of settlement. So any EU national has the right to live, work, and study, and set up a business and retire, and settle ultimately any one of the 27 EU member states, as well as 4 additional countries in Europe: Iceland, Luxembourg, and Norway, and Switzerland. So 31 countries that you, as a French national or a Maltese being part of Europe, could do that. So why are Europeans looking at Malta? Because they already can just show up here and settle here, set up a business here. But you were actually assisting a few Europeans who still wanted to either get residency here or citizenship.
Yes, so basically it depends of the nationality and the backgrounds. For example, the one who are looking for the Malta program, there is only one Malta program through investments, which is to get the permanent residency. But this is basically a European do not need to do this program because, as you said, he has the right to settle here. But we see clients who are looking for having the citizenship through merit. And through merit means that the clients, if he depends on his background, depending of what he wants to bring to the country, through an investment into the country, he will have the possibility to obtain the citizenship. And when you talk about having a second citizenship, even though it's a second European citizenship, you never know what can happen in your own country.
Yes.
For example, in France, right now, what's happening? You have a lot of uncertainty towards the future, economic, tax, insecurity. So then clients, especially for a certain type of clientele, like business people, entrepreneurs they make their money and they know that they want to have a second options. They are looking for having a second European citizenship because you never know what can happen in the future. And some of them might renounce the citizenship.
Yeah.
And when you see the world as our home, as a planet, you don't see one country as, no, I will only be French and that's only what I will be. No. Like for me, for example, I have a permanent residency in Hong Kong. I have a residency in Dubai. I have a residency in Malta.
Yeah. And you're a French national.
And I'm a French national.
And I heard that you like Panama.
And I like Panama as well. I went to Panama in June, and it's actually, we see more and more European clients looking to the Panama permanent residency program, where they can basically buy a property at 400,000, 300,000
US, and get status as a permanent resident. But it's also a pretty good place if they're entrepreneurs to set up their business or a subsidiary of their business. It's got a really nice tax regime, I would say. And you were there and you said it's actually a really nice place to hang out.
Correct, yes. For $300,000, you buy your properties, which is really nicely done as well. It's a bit kind of Dubai style, like properties that you can buy there, with all the facilities, swimming pools, like a playground for the kids, podcast, rooms into some of the units that you can buy. It's quite it's quite impressive.
Interesting.
And same time, you can benefit from an environment where it's US dollar currencies, which has been used, so safe because you have the Panama Canal. Even though like it's been on the news recently, but again, very safe. and it's basically give an opportunity for Europeans to have a plan B in case something happens.
That's right.
Because you don't want to be in a situation where if you have to leave your country, you have to do it in a rush with no plan ahead. So I always say to my clients, anticipate what could be the possibility. You have Panama, for example, in Latin America. You have New Zealand in the Pacific, where they can invest into a fund and then
become a resident and later a permanent resident after only giving 3 weeks over that first 3 years. It's a great program. It's had an immense success with Americans and a few Brits who like that part of the world. And against that investment, after 3 years, they become a permanent resident. And why not? It's such a cool place. Other places you were mentioning that Europeans are looking at, which surprised me. You said something about Turkey. What's the deal there? Turkey has a citizenship by investment, but are French national or German nationals or British even looking at Turkey? Is it for the second citizenship, or is that just a byproduct of the property they may want to buy anyways?
Well, just to before to answer that question, it's important to know that all these programs also do not require the clients to stay in the country.
Yes.
Because when you talk about residency with Europeans, they think that they have to move. They don't need to move.
Yes.
They just need to invest into the country. They get the cards, or they get the residency card in Panama or in New Zealand. Or, for example, in Turkey, they get the citizenship.
Wow.
They get a passport. And why, you will ask me, why do you want to do a passport?
Yeah.
It depends on your needs. For example, it depends also giving the access to your future kids to choose whatever they want to be in the future. For example, for the last 3 days, I was spending with my Pakistani client in Malta because he did the Malta Permanent Residency Program.
Great.
He wanted to diversify his assets because he's living in Dubai. So he has a lot of properties in Dubai.
So he wanted some assets here.
Some assets there. And then he did also the Turkish citizenship program. Why? Because he wants to diversify again. Again, Turkey, it's a big country.
It's a big country, yeah.
You have like business environment, which is there.
Yeah.
Americans are starting also to buy properties and invest into the country. Why? For diversifications. Same as Europeans. And the same time, you buy your property, and the same time you get the citizenship.
Yeah, and you could also go there and enjoy it.
Exactly,
right?
you enjoy. You have like beautiful beaches. Like you can, beautiful sceneries. You can go to the mountains. So you have it's a beautiful place to be. And we have a lot of, like, for example, in Europe's dual nationals. They already hold a European citizenship, but maybe they are Lebanese, they are Americans, Algerians. That clients, if they want to basically secure something else for the future and give more options to the children and give a legacy, because we're talking about legacy here. Once you become a citizen in a country, it's carry on for the rest of your life and to the next generations.
Now, you shared with me earlier a really interesting example, which I'd like you to repeat for our audience, which is not something that's intuitive unless you're in our business. And I told you about how my colleagues in South Korea were doing the same thing. Tell me about families who acquire citizenship to provide their children a particular opportunity as it relates to education. And give the example you had.
Yes.
I think they're going to find this interesting.
Indeed. Very few people knows that. But if you want to put your kids in certain schools or certain university, if you have a certain nationalities, you cannot. People will say discriminations. It's actually quotas.
Yeah,
same like quotas. You have quotas for visas.
Yeah.
And I have this French family living close to Strasbourg in France.
Smart family, doctors, well-educated.
Correct.
Well, with good means.
Good means. They have like the main applicant, which is the father, has more than 10 properties in France. And his two children are actually doing some educations to become doctors themselves.
Okay.
And there is these schools in Romania that
they need specialized.
They are very specialized schools, and it's They can only enter if they are non-Europeans.
That's right.
So we help them secure second citizenship.
So they can apply and potentially have a better chance of getting into that school.
Exactly.
Isn't that funny? I mean, I told you this as well. I'll share it with the audience as well, that as many of you know, I'm a Canadian, a proud Canadian whose mother tongue is French, and I had the opportunity to study in France and did my master's in France. There's no way in hell I would have gotten into that university had I had to compete with the 90% plus of the people applying who are French nationals, who were way better at me and had better marks. It's because there was a little quota for the French Canadian crowd, as well as maybe other nationalities, that I had less people to compete with and got in. But that's the way the school system works. In just about every country, they have quotas for the locals and the residents, for, in the case of the European Union, for the rest of the European Union, and then the external countries outside the Union. And sometimes having that other nationality gives you a better chance. This is exactly what my colleague in South Korea was telling me. All these South Koreans are competing for a really tough school that no one could get in. But if you're a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis, guess what? We let 2 people in this year. So it was that kind of thing. And I found it intriguing that even in Europe, people or some students are envisioning these same kind of challenges. Great example. That is a little bit outside of why you would think people need a second citizenship. The obvious is often mobility. The Europeans don't need that. They already have a great passport in terms of mobility. But the plan B, if anything, also the plan A, experiencing maybe another part of the world, which is exactly what you did. You moved to these places, you experienced these places. I think, talk about how there are indeed all these different solutions depending on what is your motivation. Because I know that's a big part of what you focus on when you're sitting down with a client. Before you get into anything, what do you ask them?
I told them, what are your needs? Because, sometimes they come to me and say, Marc, I want a passport. And then I listen to the stories. I listen to the emotional pain that they have. Because when you buy anything in your life, it's because you want to make sure that you will be avoiding an issue that can happen in the future, which will create emotional imbalance in you.
Yes.
So I always try to ask a lot of questions to understand what's
Your-
really do
your
they
mar-
need, not what they want, because sometimes they want something, but the want is not what they need.
Yeah.
And also depending of the budget, depending of the background, depending of the restriction that they have because of certain nationalities, for example. So I need to really understand the roots of the clients, the background. And then when they come to me and they said, okay, you know what? This is not a passport that you need. You want, let's say, for example, you want a Caribbean passport, but this is not what you told me. You said that you want, to have security for your children for the rest of their life. You want to give them educations. You want to be able to travel to Europe more often and be able to maybe find a job there. If you get a citizenship in the Caribbean, you will not be able to easily get a job. But if you get, for example, a residency permit in Europe, then you will be able, depending of which country, because some has some restrictions, you will be able to not only keep it for yourself, but for your kids. And in some jurisdictions, like Malta, for example, the permanent residency programs, they can keep it for the rest of their life, and they will be able to give it to their future spouse and future kids.
Children.
So you are giving a legacy to your children.
That's amazing.
So a citizenship in the Caribbean, I'm always ask them, do you intend to go and live there? No.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you don't need a
Or
passport.
there could be other solutions that better fit your need and based on what they told you. Absolutely agree. And Malta's unique. You talk about the MPRP, which is extremely successful and really gives immediate permanent residence. And I remind our listeners, I've done a few podcasts on this before, which is, be mindful of the hierarchy of status. A lot of these programs, including Portugal, don't give you permanent. They give you temporary resident status at first, which after the passage of time and certain other requirements that you meet, allows you to graduate to permanent resident status. And thereafter, those who are permanent resident status could sometimes also graduate and ascend to citizenship. So it's that 3-tiered approach. Malta gets you straight into that middle box. Permanent resident, here's your 5-year card. And it's for life, so long as you maintain an address, right? So that's really interesting. But they have provisions here that would also provide the possibility of acquiring citizenship. You want to talk about CBM, as we call it? What is that all about?
Citizenship by merit. And I think that will be having an amazing impact on Malta, but not only on the country of Malta, but also on the people, but also on the investors.
Yeah.
Because through merit, you have a lot of countries in the world who are giving citizenship, but on which basis? Because you stay in the country and then what?
Yeah, or you married.
Or you just married and you get citizenship. Here, we are talking about the merit in terms of what can you bring to the country for you to have the possibility and the chance, because it's a chance to get a second citizenship, to obtain a second passport in Malta. And Malta has come out with this amazing way of giving the opportunity for investors to invest into certain projects, and also to not only just invest, but also give themselves, give their skills, give their knowledge to basically help that project to go into completions, and basically to have a win-win, because these Americans, these Europeans who are experts in their fields, they are engineers, for example, or they are like scientists, and they can go into this project, help to fund this project, and also help to participate on this project, and then going to completions into this project.
Indeed. I'll give you an example. You're absolutely right. And just to put that in the perspective, a doctor in the United States that we were in touch with had a particular knowledge and skill set in some equipment of nuclear medicine. I can't even describe it, but it was a fantastic, and only in the United States and one other country had it. He was behind the design of it. He's behind how to operate it, and a few hospitals in the United States have it. And he has this knowledge, which any great hospital of any country would love to have. It's like scanners 20 years ago. It was a new thing, and everyone thought, "Oh, we all need scanners." Now it's gone to being propagated to a number of countries. But he's also behind this particular technology. And we had him speak with the principals at the hospital who wanted that technology. We said, "Well, yeah, but we can't afford it." He said, "Well, that will be my contribution, but plus I'll train people on how to use it, and I'll make sure I'm there to help operate it." So it's not just a money thing. It's a transfer of knowledge, sharing of time, and being here and bringing that benefit, in this case to the hospital, in this case to the citizens of Malta. Perfect example, substantial investment, training and transfer of knowledge, and the person's connecting to the island. That sounds meritorious. But that's an example. I know you're working on a few others right now that in that same spirit. It is, every client is different, every opportunity and project will be different though, right? It's not cookie cutter program. It's really bespoke.
Yes, and this is why it's very interesting, because the possibilities are enormous for the clients, but also for the country, because we will see the way that Malta is going to shape the country in a way that non-European countries can do. Because, for example, other countries they are pushing away people with money.
Mm.
Malta wants to bring the brain to basically develop the country for the people, and for the people to see the effects. And for example, there is one project which is, because now I live in Malta and I bought a property here, and there is the first project where investors are investing into a water pump treatment waste systems. Exactly. And it's literally 200 meters from my house.
No kidding.
So basically, I will directly benefits from that. So I will see the effect. So the people will see the effect. And I think once you want to attract the right people into the country, this is where you realize that citizenship and residency by investment program are not here to deprive people from their own
culture or their lifestyle.
No, it's about giving something more. Why? Because the world has been made by traveling around the world. Since the human beings is on the planet, it's been traveling for the rest of our life. Why do we stop in one country and say, no, you're French, you must be French? Why? I don't want only to be French. I want to be a resident in Malta. I want to be a resident in Dubai. I want to be a resident
and
in
maybe
Hong Kong.
we could get you an Argentinian passport one day.
Exactly, because we know that something is happening in that part of the world,
exactly.
and why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Can't we be more flexible to give our children the possibility to see more than what they see? And
100%.
Guess what? When you start to travel around the world, when you start to see other culture, you do less war.
Yeah.
Why?
That's true. That's 100%.
Because you try to understand that differences is actually a positive things. But if everyone becoming too nationalism and is afraid of his neighbors, you can understand. I understand, because when you don't travel, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know, and you're not exposed to it. But getting yourself exposed to it opens your eyes. And that's what is probably the most empowering thing of the work that you and I and everyone at Latitude does, is that we really empower our clients to the world. And, as parents who have children, you always want the best for them in terms of health. You want to empower them with the power of good education so they have access to opportunities. But in this day and age, equal to health and education, you want to make them global citizens. Give them as much status and access to the world as a parent that you can, because that's where the world is going. You want to empower people and give them to the fullest of their potential. Health, education, mobility.
Until you can.
Until you can.
Because we never know when this program will stop once of these options.
Yes, true.
So I always say, do not wait.
Yes.
Do not wait. Major events happens, because then it will be too late.
Yes, 100%. And we've seen these programs come and go. It's probably the hardest thing in our industry. The demand's always there, but it's the supply side that evolves. We're always proud to say, as Canadians, the first golden visa, the first investor visa was made in 1986 in Canada, but Canada doesn't have an investor visa anymore. The UK had a program. It doesn't have one anymore, although they're thinking of bringing it back for fiscal reasons. That's interesting. Well, Trump added the Trump card, so he's in the game with that. And Spain had a program for years, but no longer does. Now, there are geopolitical reasons as to why these things happen. That's for another video. But your point is a very important one. Like, do this yesterday. It does change, and it evolves often without or with very little notice. That's probably the biggest advice. And it sounds like I'm not trying to pressure you into it. It's a reality. Policy changes, right? So, Marc, good of you to emphasize that. I think we'll leave it at that. And thank you so very much for sharing your experiences and those anecdotes as well, which I found very interesting. And we'll certainly have you back at a future episode. Maybe we'll explore a little bit more of this potential for Argentina next time I see you. But thank you very much for sharing with you your great experiences.
Thank you so much, Eric. It's a pleasure, and I will be here whenever you need me.
Excellent, Marc. Well, I want to also thank our viewers for joining us today, and invite you to join us at the next Global Passport Investor. Thank you for listening.